Hey, what is up, guys? It is Card Shuffler 99 here, and today we're going to be revealing for you guys Dom Chambers' performance on America's Got Talent in the Judge Cuts. If you haven't seen his performance, we will link it down below in the description. Make sure you guys go check that out and come right back here so you guys can learn exactly how it's done. Now, don't forget our July giveaway is still going on. We have a couple weeks left of that giveaway. If you guys want to enter, just like the video, subscribe to the channel, comment down below what are your summer 2019 goals, and make sure you guys have your post notifications turned on. We also just recently released channel memberships, so if you guys want to check that out, be sure to do so. You can read all about it. Just check it out for yourself. Again, that is completely up to you if you want to become a member of the channel. You don't really have to do it, honestly, but it is completely up to you. Don't forget, we do have an Amazon affiliate link. If you guys want to purchase anything through Amazon, make sure you go check that link out down in the description. And anyway, guys, let's get straight into this reveal. So I'm going to give you guys a quick breakdown so you guys completely know exactly what happened, just in case you forgot. So Dom Chambers, if you haven't seen his first round, what he did was he did a trick with beer, and he does a lot of things with drinks. So he did a very similar act this time around, but he's going to involve cards, and he's also going to involve a phone as well. So the first thing he's going to do is he's going to have a clipboard, and it's going to have a piece of paper on it. It's going to have a bunch of different cocktails on it. He's going to hand that to Julianne, have her basically circle any single one and not show anybody except for Simon, and everyone behind could possibly see it as well, right? So that is step one of the trick. He then goes back up. He reveals that there's a phone on the table, and then basically Siri, or this phone, is going to do the majority of the trick. From there, Siri is going to make this little card appear. It's going to pop up. He's going to basically make it seem like he's taking the card out of the phone. It's going to match the card that Simon and Howie put together. And then after that, they're going to reveal that cocktail, and he's going to basically pour it out of the phone. So that is a basic rundown of exactly what happened in the trick. So let's go ahead and break this down a little bit further and think about this clearly. So I say this a lot when we talk about reveals, and what happens is what we do say is that every magician is going to do little things during the trick for a reason. Little things that don't make sense. And these are the things that you're going to have to pick out, and that's going to help you put together the reveal, I guess, or how a magician does a certain trick. So when watching this, there's a couple things that were done by Dom Chambers that basically has no overall effect or no purpose in the actual routine. So the first thing that we got to notice is the clipboard, right? The clipboard that's going to have Julianne basically circle a certain cocktail. That's the first thing that sort of offsets the entire trick, because none of that actually needs to be done, right? If they're just going to ask her at the end of the trick, what drink or what cocktail she selected, there was no purpose for it to circle it in the first place, right? So let's think about this. When I first saw the trick and I was watching it back, they had her circle it, I was thinking that that's going to serve as like a little prediction. They're going to go back to that at the end. That or it was going to be some sort of force. Once I saw that she was able to freely select it, I knew it wasn't a force. But what I did know is that it was probably going to serve as some sort of prediction, which it certainly did not. It did not serve as prediction at all. All that happened was they asked her later in the trick which one she selected. She said it out loud, meaning that there's no actual purpose to that except for some visible proof that they know which cocktail that she's selecting. For example, the same trick could have been done, right? Supposedly, the same trick could have been done if he had a board of cocktails on the screen behind him, or on like a big piece of paper on stage, and he said, select one of them in your head, right? Don't circle it, just select it in your head. Now, that would have been a much better trick, right? That would be a much better trick, considering the fact that she wouldn't have some sort of visible proof or some sort of evidence of what drink or cocktail she selected. Meaning, when she circles it, she's now telling basically anyone who sees it what she selected, and that's very, very important, because he's going to have to know that. Now, if she was able to keep that in her mind and he was able to predict it at the end, right before he pours the drink out, that would have been a much better trick. But for her to just circle the cocktail, that really serves no purpose for this trick, except for he needs to know what that drink is, and he needs to know it quick, right? That is basically the whole thing. Now, what do I mean by that? There are a lot of tricks, especially with the judges panel, where they have the judges go ahead, circle something or write something down, and supposedly nobody can see it, right? The magician on stage can't see it, but I'll tell you what, someone is definitely able to see it, right? Whether it's people behind, and a lot of times they're going to have assistants that are planted in the back, And all they have to do is really just see which ones he circled and communicate that with someone. Now, let's put this together really quick. The only reason you need something circled is to buy time, okay? So what do I mean by this? Obviously, to have a drink poured out of the phone, it's not actually pouring out of the phone. He's going to have some sort of container, some sort of cup that's attached to the back of the phone. So let's say this was the phone here. Something's going to be attached on the back. That way, when he pours it, it's going to come out, right? And obviously, everything on the screen is just visual effect, and that's just a video that's being played. So as he pours it out, it gives that effect like it's actually coming out of the phone. Again, it's not. It's just something on the back. But with that being said, they need to know what drink she selected to put that on the back of the phone, correct? So considering it could have been any drink selection, the reason that the phone was initially covered, meaning at the beginning of the trick, right after Julianne circles the cocktail, you'll notice that there was something covering the phone. There's a big thing covering the phone, so you couldn't even see it. Why do you need a cover there, right? So that's the other thing that sort of offsets this whole trick, is that you don't need a cover to cover the phone, right? There's really no need for that in the first place. The only reason you would do that is because someone or something is attaching the proper drink to it, meaning whatever that little drink container is that's being attached to the back of the phone, that's all being done before he even reveals the phone, right? That's why Julianne, once she circles it, someone knows it, someone sees it, whether it's an assistant sitting in the stage that's basically watching what she circles and then communicating with that someone behind the table. But really all that's happening is someone or something is basically attaching the proper drink to the back of the phone, and this is all being done before the phone's covered, right? Again, those are two things you need to keep in mind. One, there was no purpose for her circling, and the other thing is there's no purpose for the phone being covered. The only reason they did that is because they needed to know what drink she wanted to select, and they needed to be able to cover it so they could attach that drink to the back of the phone. So that's all done beforehand, right? Now, in terms of the card, there's a couple different things you need to note with the card. Now, first off, I'm pretty sure I said this already, but the entire video or the entire thing that's going on with the screen with Siri, that's just a video recording, okay? Now, there are magic apps that do have these visual effects. There were actually a lot of tricks that we've actually done before, where you use your camera roll and you basically just take a picture of a folded up card. And essentially what the original trick was you had this little picture of a folded up card, and what you would do is you'd actually take a card folded up, put it behind the phone, and you would basically pretend like you're just dragging it. So let's say this was a folded card on the back of the phone, this was a phone, you're basically just swiping it off, so it basically gives that effect like you're taking the folded card out of the phone. But really what happened was you just had a picture of a folded up card, and then the next picture in your camera roll was a blank screen. So what happens is as you slide it over, it gives the effect that you're taking that card out. This was very similar, but this was most likely done with some sort of magic app that you could honestly get on your phone. There's a bunch of magic apps that provide that same thing, and really you can make this whole sort of video recording. So was he using Siri Live? No, he was just using a video recording and timing it properly as it goes with the trick. So that is how that part is done. Now, in terms of the card, there's a couple things you have to note. One, there's 13 values of cards, right? So you go through ace through king. So that's going to be 13. He doesn't even bother using jack, queen, or king. He's going to just cap it out at 10. That's the first thing to note. Because the only other thing that you can really understand with this entire trick is that it was a free selection as to what the card was that they selected, right? Meaning 7 of hearts was freely selected. There was no force there involved. So how is he going to do it? You'll notice that right before he asks Simon for the number value, his right hand, and that's important, look at his right hand, is completely open. He's waving it around. But his left hand has this sort of book. And I don't know what it is, but he's just holding some sort of book, right? And all you have to notice is that that book is going to contain every single card value that could be selected. Now, obviously, Jack, Queen, and King, those are all taken out, right? So there's really only 40 values of cards that could have been selected here, right? So that book had multiple layers to it. That's going to contain all the folded up cards. You'll notice, once again, right before he asks for the value, his right hand's open. He has the book in his left hand. And then right after how he says hearts, you'll notice they cut back. His right hand is now closed, and then right before he goes back to the phone to take it out, the book is completely gone out of his left hand. So that book is going to contain all the cards. He just has to take it out. You notice there were so many camera cuts there. 1 second he's holding a book, the next second he's not holding a book. So, you'll notice that there's a lot of time in there, and also all that Siri dialogue is actually going to buy a lot of time. Right after Simon named the number value, you'll notice Siri said, thanks, gorgeous, or something along those lines. It had a bunch of other dialogue involved there as well. That's all to buy time for Dom to pick out the card out of that book and make sure he has it. all he's going to do is he basically has it folded up in his hand, and again, he just times it with the video, so at some point in the video, that card is going to disappear, and he just makes it appear by pushing it with his thumb and just making that pop up. So that is essentially the entire trick. Once again, you just have to look at the little nuances that the magician puts in. And anyway, that's it for today. This is Card Shuffler 99. Peace out, guys.